Perhaps one of the loveliest of the Florentine churches is San Miniato al Monte. It overlooks the city of Florence and, in my opinion, gives one of the best panoramic views of the city. Wouldn't it be lovely to visit it today? On the slope of the hill on which the church and adjacent monastery stand is a peaceful cemetery. Among the tombs there is one bearing this bust of a handsome young man in the uniform of the Alpine. Dr. Augusto Saccomani, born on the 13th of January 1917 in Florence, was to die as a prisoner of war on the Russian front on the 18th of May 1943. He studied medicine at the University of Bologna. Then he served as a physician with the 103 Alpine Regiment of Marcia Julia. He had the rank of lieutenant and was to be awarded the Gold Medal for Military Valour. Well, I really think that the clean-cut looks and the direct gaze of this young man, whose life was cut short at the start of his medical career, do cry out for his story to be told. The inscription on the tomb and below the bust gives clues as to his character and to the devotion his family had to his memory. We will not forget you because you were the best of us and because you taught us to be good and courageous. It's an epitaph many of us would envy. And you could say in some ways it's reflected in the face of the man we see portrayed in the bust. He'd first shown his virtue and courage during the Russian campaign of 1943, offering an example to those he left behind at home. As a newly qualified doctor, he served with the Alpini. The regiment he was with, the 103rd Alpine Regiment, Julia Division, had been formed in the summer of 1943 in Udine under the command of Colonel Gino Bernardini. The regiment left Gorizia for Russia on the 2nd of January 1943. Then, over the next few months, from February to March 1943, the young doctor, Augusto Saccomani, was to treat casualties from the fierce fighting in the snows of the bitter Russian winter. Now, you would have expected a mountain regiment like the Alpini, trained and equipped for mountain warfare, to be deployed in the Caucasian mountains. No. It was sent to fight in the plains against tanks and mechanized infantry. Then, following the collapse of the Axis front in the Stalingrad campaign, this regiment was encircled by the advancing Soviet army. Only about 1/3 of the Tridentina division and 1/10 of the Julia could survive this military disaster. Taken prisoner during this sad debacle, Saccomani himself died in May 1943. The physician could not keep himself alive. Well, after the war, The University of Bologna was to honour those of its students who had been war heroes with honorary doctorates. And on the 7th of December 1946, Augusto Saccomani, a graduate in medicine and surgery, was to receive an honorary degree from the Clinic of Nervous Diseases and Mental Illness. This laurel wreath was intended for graduates whose dissertations were not written with ink, but with blood. Professor Eduardo Volterra, who'd been deprived of his chair at Bologna through the racial laws of 1938, and had been an early opponent of the fascist regime, was later to describe the former students honoured on the same day as Saccomani as the young men fallen on the sands of Africa, the mountains of Greece, and the distant lands of Russia and the Balkans, with the hope of serving the fatherland. He went on to tell the grieving relatives of the young men being honoured that their sorrow cannot be separated from a feeling of legitimate pride that the sacrifice of these our fallen was and is the most high, the noblest, the truest manifestation of social and national life. When it's possible to revisit the small tranquil cemetery at San Miniato al Monte, visitors should watch out for this bust. It can't be missed, but the story behind it can be overlooked. In many ways, Saccomani can stand for many of his compatriots whose lives and traumas were cut short by war in a far-off country. He wouldn't be forgotten, but he wouldn't be as visible today without this bust. And behind many a monument lies an interesting tale. But what we take away from this young man is that you were the best of us and you taught us to be brave.